Jordi here, your instructor for Cinecom.net, and welcome again to my course. In this video lesson, we are going to export our video so that we can actually share it with our friends or upload it to YouTube or Facebook or anything like that. Now, I've created an edit here in the timeline, and again, you can download this project file so that you can see what I've done. Now, in my edit, I have added everything that we have learned within this course. So I have a title right here, and I've also created an animation on that title, and I've done a proper color correction on that clip with the off-white balance, as you can see right here with the fast color corrector. I've also added a transition between two clips, and I've done some audio mixing, as you can see right here. But you know what? Let's just take a look at this edit.
Hello, my name is Kim. It's cold outside, but the sun is shining, so that calls for a bike ride.
Now, these are all techniques that you have learned within this course, and this is actually a lot, so congratulations to you. You are awesome. Now, really, you are awesome. These are the fundamentals of Premiere Pro. If you keep practicing on all these techniques, you will become a master of Premiere Pro. But now, let's share this video right here with all my friends. And one way of doing that is by heading over to your menu, select File, Export, Media. Now already I'm going to answer a frequently asked question. If I'm not going to select my sequence, so for example the project panel, and you can see that with this blue line around this window, and I'm now going to head over to File, Export, I will not be able to select Media. So what you have to do is actually select the timeline panel that you have created your edit in. And then you can go up to File, Export, Media. So let's click on that. That will open up this new window. Now right in here we can choose how we would like to export our video. But I'm going to come back on all of these things later, because there's actually a better way to export your video. Down below here, you can see 3 buttons. Well, actually 2 important buttons. The third one right here is cancel. I think that is pretty clear. That will just close the window. But these 2 right here, export and queue. Now these are important. From this window right here, you can say export, and that will start the process of the exporting right inside Premiere Pro. Now, while it's exporting inside Premiere, you will not be able to do anything else within the application. So we are able to say queue, and if we place it inside a queue, we are able to continue to work inside Premiere. Now, what the queue actually will do is bring it to another Adobe application. Now, instead of pressing on this queue button, I'm just going to say cancel, and I'm going to launch this application separately. Now inside my dock right here, we can find the Adobe Media Encoder. Now this is an application that will come with the installation of the Adobe Premiere software. So if you can't find it, it should be somewhere on your PC. So just browse through your applications and you will find it somewhere. It is installed on your computer. So just click on it and that will launch the application. There we go. Now, once we have this application open, it's actually very simple. What we can do is just grab the sequence from the project panel of Premiere, and we can just drag that, like so, inside the queue of the Adobe Media Encoder. Just let go in this window right here, and it's now added inside that application. Now from here, just press on any of these blue texts, and that will open up that same window that we have seen inside Premiere, where we could change all those settings. Now, this is a lot of information and again, a lot of things to explain, but Premiere Pro has actually made it easy for us by giving us the possibility to select a preset, and those presets work damn good. So I'm just going to press cancel again from this window. I know, I've just shown you that window twice and I'm not going to explain it. I'm really sorry for that, but now you know if that window will ever appear, just press cancel. The presets can be called up from right here. The first thing that we have to choose is the codec. So open up that menu, and from here we can actually choose the codec. Like for example, QuickTime, or we can choose the DVD codec, but also the JPEG codec. So that means we can actually export our whole video to a sequence of photos, JPEG photos. Now I've got a great advice here. If you don't know what to choose, just pick the H264. This is the most common codec used anywhere. It will work on your TVs, it will work on an iPad, it will work when you upload it to YouTube or Facebook, etc. This is the most popular codec, so you can actually never go wrong. Unless you have a very specific goal, for example, burning it to a DVD. But unfortunately, that is a whole different course. For now, let's just select that H264 codec. And once we've got that one selected, Premiere, or actually the Adobe Media Encoder, will give us some options or presets that will go with this codec. And that can be found on the right side here. So open that drop-down menu, and from here you can find all kinds of presets, like the Android phone or tablet preset, but if we scroll down we can also find Apple devices like the iPad and the iPhone, also Apple TV, etc. But we can also export it to a format, but also presets for Vimeo or YouTube. Now that is a great option. Now I have to give you an advice here. If you are going to use either Vimeo or YouTube, you are almost always right. In 90% of the cases, I always export to the Vimeo preset. Even also if I'm going to upload my video to YouTube or to Facebook, or if I just wanted to put it on my iPhone or anything like that. This is a preset that works very good. You will have very good quality inside a pretty small file, and that is what we want to go for. Now, in the beginning of this course, we have learned how to read these presets. So we've got a 720p and a 1080p preset. Now that reflects the resolution of your video file. 720p videos will of course be smaller in size as the 1080p, but 1080p will be better in video quality. And then next to that, we can find the frame rate. Now for the people from the US, they are typically going to choose the 29.97 frame rate. For the people from Europe, we are usually going to take the 25 frames per second. We also have an almost 24 frames per second option, and this reflects to the cinema frame rate. Now this is something that you can experiment with. Now I have shot and edited my video in a 1080p sequence at 25 frames per second. You can also see that right in here in my project panel, 25 frames per second. So I'm just going to take that preset. Click on it. And now the last thing that we have to do is set the destination or the output file. So just click on that link, and that will open up a window to select where we would like to save it. Now, where would I like to save it? I'm just going to set my desktop, like so. And I'm going to name this Bike Ride. And just press Save. And that is it. Now, I would like to show you one last thing before I'm going to hit the export button. And for that, I'm going to open up that window that you should actually always close. Now, let's say that you are having trouble with exporting your video through the media encoder, and you want to do it through this window right here. To select your format and preset, we can also find those things on the right side, right here, the upper right. We can choose the format, which is the codec, from that same list. Select the H264, and from there we can also select the preset. So I've got Vimeo HD already selected, but you can select any of these other presets also right in here in this window. And from there, then just press OK. So once that is all done, I can now press the play button. Now that is actually the play to start the queue or the render processing. And once I've clicked on that, you can see that everything is going to get rendered down below here. You see a little status bar, a progress bar. Now the great thing about exporting your video by using the Adobe Media Encoder is that you can now minimize this window or this application and continue working inside Premiere. And that is something you cannot do if you are going to export your video through Premiere itself. Then you will see a progress bar right in here and you're unable to work further inside the application. Let's take a look at the progress. I'm going to open up my dock again right here. So how is it going? It's almost done, as I see. Now, if you're drinking some coffee while your video is exporting, you can also bring up the volume of your speakers, because once your video is done with the export, you will actually hear a little bell ringing. So then you know that your export is ready. There we go. So let's just close the Adobe Media Encoder now. It's completed, and I'm going to minimize Premiere Pro, because right here on my desktop, we can see the exported video. Let's open that up and play the video that we have exported. And that was it for this video lesson again. You are now completely ready to start editing your videos inside Premiere Pro. But stay tuned, because as I've said before, there are some more great features within Premiere, like for example the Type Kit, which is something new from the Creative Cloud, and that's something we're going to take a deeper look at in the next video lesson. Thanks a lot for watching. Hello there, Jordi for Cinecom.net, and welcome to my course. In this video lesson, I'm going to teach you how to work with the Adobe's Type Kit. Now, this is not something within Premiere. This actually comes with your Creative Cloud account. Now, to head over to the Creative Cloud panel, we have to search for this icon. Now, Windows users will see this icon in their taskbar right down below here. Just search for that icon and click on it, and that will show you this panel right here. Now, we've got 4 tabs up here. And the one that's selected now is the Apps tab. So right here you can see all the Adobe applications that I've got installed on my computer. And of course, right here we can find Premiere, where we have been working in the whole time. But if I scroll down, you can see that I've got access to more Adobe applications, which I can install from this window right here, from the Creative Cloud. Now, later in this course, I'm going to show you how the Adobe's dynamic link works. And that's something where all these applications can communicate with each other. But that's again for later in this course. For now, I would like to show you the Adobe's Type Kit. And that can be found from the Assets tab. And from here, I'm going to open up the tab Fonts. Now, currently, you can see that Type Kit is turned off. To turn it on, just press on this button right here. And right now, it's starting to synchronize all the fonts that I already have, because I've got Creative Cloud installed on multiple machines where I am logged in under the same account. And that is the great thing about Type Kit. It's synchronizing with your account. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose a font from their library, and we're going to link that or synchronize it with our account. So let's take a look at the library of fonts that we can choose. Just head over to this button right here, Add Fonts from Typekit. And that will launch your browser, your internet browser. And from here, we have a full library to choose from. All these fonts that we can see right in here can be used within Premiere Pro or any other application from Adobe. Now on the right side here, we can choose which type of font that we are looking for. Like for example, handwritten, mono, black letter, decorative, etc. Now let's choose for example, decorative. And already Typekit is filtering from the selection that we have done. Then the next thing that we have to choose is for which the font has to be available for. Does it have to be available for the web? Then select that, or both, that could also be, or for the desktop use. Now, we are not creating a website, we are working within a desktop application. So I'm going to unselect the web use, because we cannot use those fonts within Premiere. So make sure to select desktop use. And next, we have an option where the font is recommended for, either for paragraphs or for headings. If you don't select any of these, then all the fonts will be shown. So I'm going to leave it as it is. I'm going to scroll down some more because right here it gets very interesting. We can choose the thickness of the lines used within the font, we can choose the width, the horizontal height, the contrast, and some more things. Let's say that I'm looking for something very thick. Then I can just select that, and already Typekit is now filtering that for me. Let's choose some more things. I want to have very wide characters, so select that. And let's now take a look at the leftovers here. So these here are 12 fonts that we can choose from. Now currently you can see that Cinicom is in each of these fonts. And that's something that we can choose from right here. We can actually input the text that has to be shown as a preview for each font. So let's type in Jordi right here. And now you can see in real time my name with that font. Now let's just pick any of these. I'm just going to scroll down. Let's, for example, say this one right here, the Changeling Neo font. So to synchronize this font, just click on Use Fonts. That will open up this pop-up box, because from here we can choose all the types of this font which we would like to synchronize. Now maybe we are only looking for the bold version of this font, then we can deselect regular, and now only that type is being synchronized. But you know, I'm also going to select regular for now, because I would like to have the whole bunch. And then just select Sync Selected Fonts. And when the syncing is done, or the synchronizing is done, you will see a notification popping up in here for the Mac users. There we go. The two fonts were added to my library. So now if I'm going to open up my Creative Cloud panel and look within my fonts, you will see Changeling Neo right in here. And if I'm now going to head over to my Premiere Pro, here we are, and let's create a new text. So new item, title. I'm just going to press OK. And right here is that window. I'm going to create a new text. Let's type in Jordi. And on the right side, from the font family, I'm going to look for, in this drop-down menu, for that Changeling Neo. So after the B comes the C. So right here, we can find Changeling Neo. Select that, and there we go. We've got the font inside Premiere. And as you've seen, I didn't have to restart Premiere Pro. Because this is a piece from Adobe, it's being synchronized in real time to all your Adobe applications. Now, there's only one downside to using Typekit, and that is that you don't have these fonts actually on your computer. You need to have an internet connection to be able to access these fonts inside your Adobe applications. And a second downside is that you can only use Typekit fonts within Adobe applications, so we cannot use them in Microsoft Word or Apple Pages. But that doesn't stop us from using these great fonts within Premiere, of course. Now let me head back to my Creative Cloud panel right here. And from my assets now, I'm going to click on Manage Fonts. And that will again open up my browser. Now right here you can see a list of all the fonts that I'm using within the Creative Cloud. And also from here we can remove any font. So if you have been synchronizing too much fonts and your list is getting a little bit messy, you can also remove that font. Of course, you can always resync it afterwards. So I'm going to close Safari now, my browser, and normally it should get updated now that I'm no longer able to use that font. There we go. So as you can see now, when I now select Changeling Neo again, and that's because there is a little error, Premiere cannot find that font anymore since it's not in my Creative Cloud library anymore. but it's still inside this list, and that's just a little bug from Premiere. But it will definitely be gone upon a next restart. And that was it for this video lesson. This is how we can use the Adobe's Typekit. So also, if you are working with Photoshop or any other application from Adobe, then also that thing is great to use within those applications. Thanks a lot for watching, and in the next lesson I'm going to show you several settings within Premiere Pro. Settings that will make your workflow go easier, or just stuff that is great to know about. Hey folks, welcome again to my Premiere Pro course. My name is Jordi for Cinecom.net. In this video lesson, we are going to take a look at several application settings that will help you with your workflow, or either just things that are very nice to know about. Now, the settings can be found from your Premiere Pro menu, Preferences, and right here we can find all the preferences. Now, just pick any of these, because if you open up one of these settings, you will see in the window that appears on the left side that we can also find those settings. So also afterwards, you can just select any of these. Now let's start with the general settings, because right in here, we can find three great things to know about. And that is the default duration for video transitions, audio transitions, and still images. Now that means when you are going to add a transition to your clip, it will have a default duration. Currently, for the video, that is 25 frames, and for Europe, that is usually 1 second. Now, of course, we can always drag the duration longer or shorter, but if you have to add lots of transitions in your edit and you don't have the time to set the duration for each of them, then you can also set the default duration right in here. The same thing goes for the audio, but that one has to be set in seconds. And finally, we can find still image duration, which is currently 125 frames. Now, we all know that when we are going to add an image to our timeline, that we can drag it as long as we want. You can see this also as a title file, which is also actually a still image. Now, by default, it's 120 frames. But let's say that you want to create a time lapse, for example, and you have taken, let's say, 1000 photos of a sunrise. When you are then going to add all those photos next to each other in your timeline, they will all be too long in duration per frame. Then we actually would like to set each photo for only 1 frame so that those 1000 photos will play back as a video. So there's a great tip that I can give you. The next thing that we'll go to on the left side is to the auto save settings. Now, Premiere Pro is a piece of software, and we still live in an age where software can crash now and then. So it's very good to have this enabled. By default, it should be enabled. But we also have an option right here to select the time period when Premiere Pro has to automatically save the project. And it's currently set at 15 minutes, but we can also decrease that to 5 minutes, for example. Now, of course, if you are editing for hours and hours, and Premiere is going to keep saving those backup projects, your hard drive will get full after a while. So down below that, you can say how many versions Premiere has to save. Now, these projects are being stored next to your project file. So when I'm going to go to my desktop, like so, I'm going to open up the bike ride folder, which we know from the beginning of this course. We can find our main project file right here. But next to that, right here, we can find a folder named Adobe Premiere Pro Autosave. And when I'm going to open that one up, you can see the last 20 saved projects that were auto-saved by Premiere Pro. And we can open them from here. So if Premiere Pro crashes, you can just open up any of these auto-saved projects right here. I'm just going to close this window again and head back to Premiere. Because let's now head over to the next setting, and that is the Media tab right here. Now, right here, this is something very important. Premiere Pro is going to save media cache files on your hard drive so that your editing will go faster if it can work with cache files. Now, currently and by default, they are stored within this location right here. as well for the cache files as for the cache database. Now, it's not important to know what these files exactly are, but you have to know that they do take up some space on your hard drive. Now, many computers these days work with SSDs or solid-state drives, which usually don't have that much storage on them. Like, for example, on my MacBook Air right now, where I am working on, I only have 128 gigabytes of storage. So my hard drive could get pretty full after a while. So what we can do is click on Browse right here to select another location, for example, an external hard drive or a server or anything like that. But know when you are going to store these cache files on an external drive, that editing will go a little bit slower because it maybe has to communicate through a USB cable, so keep that in mind. But if your hard drive gets full, know that the problem is occurring right here and that you can fix that also. The next thing that I want to show you is the playback option. Now from here we can actually choose to output the video shown either in the program monitor or the source monitor to an external screen. Now, as I've said before, I'm working with a MacBook Air, and that is the monitor 2 right here. But I'm actually working inside Premiere on a secondary monitor that I have connected to my computer. Now, when I'm going to select, for example, my second monitor, my MacBook Air monitor, I will be able to output it in full screen what I'm seeing inside my program monitor or the source monitor. It depends on which one you have selected. Now, this is a great thing to know if you are working with a dual monitor setup, and it also just looks very professional. Now, let's head over to the last setting inside my preferences window, and that is the titler preference. Because right here, we don't have that much options, but inside our titler, we actually see a preview of either the style or the font. And we can choose on which characters that preview has to be shown on. So for the style, we can also pick something else. Let's, for example, say JO, which comes from Jordi. And for the font browser, I'm just going to type in my whole name, Jordi, because right here I can choose up to 6 characters. And once we have set that, I will now press OK. And when I'm going to create a new title now, press the new item button from your project panel, say title, just going to press OK now. You can now see in my title styles down below that all these styles are being previewed with the J and the O characters. And when I'm going to create a text with my name, Jordi, select this text and I would like to change the font to something else, you can then see next to those fonts a preview of how it's going to look like with Jordi that I have set within the titler preferences. So that's it for the Premiere Pro application settings. Some settings which were very good to know about. In the next video lesson, I'm going to teach you how Adobe's dynamic link works. We know that Adobe has multiple applications and they can communicate with each other. It's something more advanced, but it's already something very good to know about if you have maybe interest in also working with Photoshop, SpeedGrade, After Effects, Audition, or any other Adobe application. So again, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you all in the next lesson. Hello, Jordi here for Cinecom.net, and welcome to my course. In this video lesson, I'm going to show you how the Adobe's dynamic link works. Now, this is a feature within Adobe which allows the different applications to communicate to each other. So we have seen in the previous lesson, if we are going to open up the Creative Cloud app, that we can right here see all the apps that we have installed. Now, all these apps can communicate with each other. That means we can import After Effects projects inside Premiere, but we can also send Photoshop documents to Premiere. But we can also send Premiere Pro to Audition, etc. And the great thing about this is that we never have to export or render out our project. Now we can just take that, as we've also seen with the sequence right here, that we actually dragged to the media encoder right here. Actually, we were also making use of the Adobe's dynamic link back then. But let's take a deeper look at it right now, and so that you can see what the power of the dynamic link actually is. Right here in my timeline, you can see that I have several clips. Now, we can send these clips to another application. So let's do that. We can either select one clip, or we can also select multiple clips. And when we do that, right-click on it, and right here you can see that we can send it to Adobe Audition or to After Effects. Let's start with After Effects. I'm going to say to replace that with an Adobe After Effects composition. So what it's doing now, it's taking these two clips, it's sending that to Adobe After Effects, which is doing right now, and it's the first time that I'm opening up this application, so I have to press accept for now. And it's now launching the application, and it's then going to take the project file from After Effects and replace that with these two clips. And that is all being done automatic, so we don't have to do anything else right now. And After Effects is open. Now the first thing it will ask you is to save that project. It cannot import a project if it doesn't really exist, if it doesn't have a location. So I'm going to browse through my computer. What I'm just going to do is select my desktop, open up the bike ride folder, and from here I'm going to save this as the After Effects project. And then just press save. Now it is saving that project file, and at the same time it's importing those clips from the Adobe's timeline, which I have selected. Now let's go back to Premiere. And right now you can see that the After Effects project has been inserted right here. Now this thing is linked, as the name also says, to After Effects. And that is all happening in real time. So let me show that to you. I'm going to head back to After Effects. There we go. And I'm not going to go too deep into this because this is again a whole different course, but I'm just going to create something very basic here, just a text. Let's say Cinecom. There we go. Just going to drag this a little bigger, like so. Now this is something that I have done inside After Effects. Now the only thing I have to do now is go to File and say Save. And that's just saving the project file. Now, when I'm going to head back to Premiere, right here, you will now see that also the project file right here is being updated to what is happening inside After Effects. So that is what the Adobe Dynamic Link does. Something very powerful if you want to take editing more serious, because eventually you want to do your audio mixing inside a different application, your special effects inside After Effects, your color corrections inside Adobe SpeedGrade, etc. Each of those applications is way more powerful in its specific way. Now let's take a look at something else. I'm going to right click here on the first clip, and let's now head over to Adobe Audition. It's then going to, again, render and replace that. As you can see right here, it's now replaced with an Audition file. And again, it's the first time I'm launching Audition on this account here on my laptop. So I'm going to press accept, and it's then going to open up Audition. And there we go. It's now imported inside Adobe Audition. Now, Audition is not asking us to save it as a project, and the reason for that is because it works natively on your audio file. So again, we can make some adjustments right in here. Let's increase the volume. You can also see that at the waveform. There we go. Just save it and head back to your Premiere Pro project. And right now, if you've seen that flickering a little bit, it's now updated, so the volume is way louder in that clip. Now, one last thing, because we have been bringing stuff from Premiere to another application. But what we can also do is bring something from another application inside Premiere. And what I have right here is a Photoshop document. I think many of you already know how Photoshop somehow works. Now, what I've done here, I'm not a great artist within a Photoshop, but I've actually just drawn out this bird in this picture, this pigeon, and I've used this Content Aware tool to cut out that pigeon. And now I've got two layers where I have a layer with the bird and one without the bird. Now don't mind the bad work right here, it's just an example. So what I can do now is save this project file, and I'm going to save this in my photos folder. Just name it pigeon.psd, press save, okay. And now I'm going to close Photoshop, I don't need that anymore. I'm going to go to my desktop, open up my bike ride folder, open up my photos, and right here you can see the PSD or the Photoshop document. And I'm now just going to drag that Photoshop document inside Premiere Pro. And then Premiere will ask me how it should import that Photoshop document. As you can see, it recognizes those layers. So I can either choose to merge these layers, but I have also the option from the drop-down menu to have individual layers. So when I select that and then press OK, you can then see that a new folder has been added, and inside that folder I've got those two layers. And what I can do now is take the background, drag that to video track number 1, and then take the bird layer and drag that up to video track number 2. And now they are combined, but now inside Premiere I can work on each layer separately, as you can see. And this is very basically and very quickly how the Adobe's dynamic link works. It's something very good to know if you want to expand your knowledge and learn new applications. Then you can communicate with those projects that you are creating. So thanks a lot for watching. This was the last real lesson, but stay tuned because I've got one last conclusion for you left. So definitely stay tuned for that. And I'll see you all in the next video. Hey folks, Jordy here for Cinecom.net, and welcome to, unfortunately, the last lesson of this course. I'm going to leave you with a final conclusion to everything you've learned. First of all, congratulations! You are an awesome person for completing this course. You have now learned the fundamentals of Premiere Pro. This is how the application works and how professional film editors work in it. The many techniques I've learned you might come overwhelming. You might still be struggling with some things, like many of my students do with keyframing. But that's completely normal. Try to rewatch the lessons that you're struggling with and keep on practicing. A good tip that I can give you is to make a little short film. It's very hard to practice a technique or a new piece of software if you don't really have a goal. By creating a short film, you have a goal. It doesn't have to be big. You can ask your friends to play in your film. But then you have something to work with and a goal to finish that short film. If you're watching this course from Cinecom.net, then prepare yourself now for an upcoming quiz. If you pass the test with a result higher than 70%, you will receive an official certificate to hang up your wall. At Cinecom.net, you can also click on the support page, where I shall further assist you with all your questions or problems. And don't forget to like our Facebook page to stay updated on new courses, news, and tricks and tips. Thank you very much for participating in this course, and I wish you all the success with Premiere Pro. My name is Jordy, your instructor for Cinecom.net.